That's cinema, baby.
No, Mr. Wilson. I don't have to take that kind of talk from anyone.
That's right, you don't. How about going outside and trying to kick me around?
I'm not supposed to fight with the guests, Mr. Wilson.
I'm not a guest tonight, you yellow bastard. I happen to be an intruder.
Hello, and welcome to The Good, the Pod, and the Ugly, a film podcast where we pair movies.
Hello, and welcome to The Good, the Pod, the Ugly.
Gather a better understanding of the filmographies of notable directors or actors, typically one artist or creator per season, often with guests. I'm your co-host, Ken.
I'm your co-host, Thomas.
I'm co-host, Ryan.
And we are joined this week by special guest, Jack.
Jock,
Hello.
who's done breaking into houses in Paris instead of writing his book. I'm surprised that they extradited you, but Hammer Murder does... Wow.
Jack, true or false? I heard a rumor that you went to Europe to recreate the Lars von Trier serial killer epic, The House That Jack Built.
I fucking hate Lars von Trier. So
Next,
And
That's not a denial.
Nymphomaniac
That's
anyway.
not a denial. Okay. I like Nymphomaniac better for you in this scenario.
well, I also changed my 4x4.
oh
Ooh,
god,
Can't wait to hear about that.
So, yeah. You won't know us from our other podcasts because we've retired that bit. No more.
Yay,
wait,
yay.
you have
Yeah.
seriously?
We've replaced it instead with a quick 30 minutes from our favorite dead Prime Minister of England, Margaret Thatcher.
Can we insert the music from Rocky 2 when they unveil the Rocky statue? When Thomas has retired.
Yes, definitely.
Cool.
Spoilers for Rocky 2.
He retires. There's no
Yeah.
more Rockies after Rocky 2.
Yes.
They're all prequels.
And thank God.
This is a very special episode today, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, normally we do a deep dive by pairing some films together by a creative. That started out with our first 3 seasons of Eastwood, doing a reverse pincer movement. I guess temporal pincer movement, but could also be reversed or forward. And now, very much like last season, we've reached the end of our director, this season being Nolan Void, Sir Christopher Nolan. And we're going to talk about a film adjacent to one of his films, which there's been some film nerd controversy about. And that's going to be 2006 Paprika.
From the same director as Perfect Blue, who was the Darren Aronofsky finale.
And this ties in very nicely to next season. A lot of people say Apt Pupil takes a lot from Tokyo Godfathers. So,
It does. There is a nice shout out to one of the 4x4 sets in Paprika. So it'll be fun to talk about that.
That's right, the movie posters.
And of course, because Paprika is 2006, we've already talked about the movies that we've covered previously whenever we talked about The Prestige, which came out in 2006.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
Well, no, when we did The Prestige, we mentioned The Fountain, Miami Vice, The Wicker Man, Flags and Letters, that great pairing by Eastwood, The Devil Wears Prada, and, next season when we cover People Are Strange When You're a Singer, or Stinger White Non-Female. We're just workshopping them right now. This is your Brian on Drugs. Ex Young Men. This is also the year of Superman Returns. So we'll come back to this next season when we cover our third Gen Xer director.
Whatever.
Have
Directed a superhero film.
Yeah,
Two.
have fun recording that at my wake. That's the only way it's happening.
Have I told you guys my Bryan Singer story about Jack and the Giant?
Yeah. You
Yes,
told
you
us at
have.
brunch, and you told us you asked us that question on Mike
Okay.
2 episodes ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just a very exciting story. I know.
I know. That's why I'm
I
excited for
talked
next
about
season.
Jared Leto in the stairs afterwards. So thank you.
When we talk living in Bryan in LA, We'll talk about it.
Oh, all of these. It makes me want to do it so bad, Thomas. You got to stop. These titles are so good.
So Paprika, 2006. Let's go around the horn. Have you seen this one before? Special guest Jock.
Now I have. First time.
Father of Jock, Ken?
First time as well.
And last, possibly.
And possibly last.
This was my first time. I thought I'd seen it before, but I hadn't.
Are you sure? I swear
I think I might have seen it
at a movie night where we showed this, but maybe not.
There were things that were reminiscent, but I was like, oh, that was whenever I was on hallucinogens watching Akira.
Oh, yeah.
So I assume that, Ryan, you have seen this more than once.
Yes, this was my 5th time, I believe.
Wow. You've got that thing dug deep into your scalp, don't you?
It was only when watching Perfect Blue for the Aronofsky and then watching this for Nolan that I realized that I am a true, I'm really a fan of this guy, and he has a couple of movies I haven't seen. I'm going to go see those movies now.
Literally 2.
Yes, he has 2 films I haven't seen. His TV show,
Paranoid Agent?
is amazing. If you liked anything about either of these films that we've watched for this, if not, it's best to quit here. There's nothing for you there.
Well, interestingly enough, unlike, I can't remember Tokyo Godfathers if that was an adaptation or not, but Millennium Actress wasn't. I think it was completely original. This is also an adaptation from a book, which I didn't read, guys. I'm sorry I let you down.
Boo.
I know. And Multnomah County Library. I'm sorry I can't give you a shout out right now. Oh, wait, I got the DVD from Multnomah County Library.
Hey!
Woo! Half a shout out.
Rocky music too. Rocky 2 music again. So this originally was published serially in Marie Claire, the magazine we all read in Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
In 91. It came out in book form in 93, but wouldn't have its English translation until after the film in 2009.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
This, which is interesting because author, I can't pronounce his name. I'm going to try though. Maybe Jack can correct me. Yasutaki Suzusu decided after this book he was going to retire. He wasn't going to write anything else.
Yeah. He's going to take that Marie Claire money and retire to the country.
Just like Rocky 2.
And so he wanted to make it into a film. And there was going to be a live action for it, but ran over budget and it got nixed. But after he had seen Perfect Blue, he wanted Kon to make this movie and actually asked Kon directly during a kind of like a Comic-Con convention in Japan. So, but in Kon, which was surprising for him because he actually had this in mind whenever he was even making as far back as Perfect Blue, because he had read the book when it came out in the early 90s.
Whoa.
And this is a film that a lot of people online believe Christopher Nolan borrowed heavily from for Inception. And that's why we're talking about it.
True. That people think that, not that. To be clear, I don't think the theory is valid. And in fact, I was a little torn on the Aronofsky stuff, but after seeing this, I just think that Kon deals with a lot of stuff that is kind of in the air. And that these are also directors who are tapped into that same sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I got a little bit of it whenever our, what's his name, Dom, the main character of Inception, goes onto his laptop and goes into a virtual bar to be able to make a dream manifestation in the internet.
Little Hitler mustache guy, bartender.
The taller one is the author of the book, incidentally. Or was it? Yeah.
Let me see. I think the tall one was the author and the shorter one was
Hitler.
Kon. But I might have that flipped.
It occurs to me now that the tall one looks a lot like the giant from Twin Peaks. Not the giant, but the milk guy For Twin Peaks fans out there, y'all know what I mean. Go on.
Okay, and then the detective looks a lot like J. Jonah Jameson without the Hitler mustache.
It's true.
Yeah, well, when he came on, that's one of the times that I had a moment where I thought, "Oh, I've seen this before," but then I was like, "Oh, all like Japanese anime sergeants or detectives or lieutenants look the same to me," which is a horrible thing to have to admit on mic. No, he looks a bit like the military general in Akira, though.
Mm-hmm.
He does. It's true.
We had to watch the dubbed version of this because it was the only one available for free, and I seriously thought he was voiced by J.K. Simmons the first few lines, which would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
The dub is not terrible, but it's not great. There are definitely
Yes.
worse dubs in the world.
True
Yes.
statement.
But if you're listening to this, Ryan's doing a synopsis. He's never done a synopsis before.
Yeah, we decided to give him a softball for the first one. Something really linear
Yeah.
and easy to
Yeah.
do within 1 minute, because that's the construction that we all have placed on ourselves. Can't be any longer than a minute.
Yep.
All right.
Stolen dream machine causes chaos. There, I did it in one sentence.
Good job. Jack, are you an anime fan,
I wouldn't say I'm a fan.
but familiar with
But
the
I-
medium?
Yeah, I love like Miyazaki is one of my favorite directors.
Mhm.
I haven't watched a whole lot of anime, but I've watched Berserk recently, the
Okay.
original Berserk,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
was really good.
Uh-huh.
And so that's kind of gotten me more into wanting to watch like the Evangelion stuff, that same era.
Oh man,
So-
you haven't seen Evangelion yet?
I haven't.
You got
no.
to, Jack. You are gonna fucking love it.
I know.
I'm excited for you even. Okay, so yes, I was tasked with doing a 1 minute long summary of this insanely convoluted film. I'm not going to do that because we're not really covering the director Satoshi Kon. You guys can start the clock now.
Oh, we did.
Okay.
I started it a minute and a half ago, actually.
Oh, Jesus,
Yeah.
fuck. Because we're not really covering the director Satoshi Kon, and because this movie has an insanely convoluted plot, like I said, I don't think we need to discuss the movie too in depth beyond its relationship to Nolan and some interesting asides. And here's another thing, boyos. I don't really like movie summaries anyways, but what I do like is anime. At its best, which is admittedly rare, anime fuses interesting elements of cinematic storytelling and comic book storytelling called manga in Japan in a way that allows it to transcend both mediums completely. Again, this is rare. So unlike
Wait, Ryan, your voice changed a little bit. Are you doing a summary right now?
Yes, I'm doing the summary.
Oh, okay. About the movie, baby. It's important.
So, unlike comics and comic movies in the US, there are manga and anime for everything. Food anime, adventure anime, sex anime, food, adventure, sex anime. Little girls
What?
who go to a witch school and have crushes on milquetoast but strangely beautiful prepubescent boys who go to vampire school anime. The best thing about anime is that anything can happen. The worst thing about anime is that the creators often feel the need to attempt to irrationally explain their stories through traditional plot structures. We call this anime bullshit. And there's a lot of kinds of anime bullshit, but hyper convoluted plot mechanics is one. So Paprika has a ton of anime bullshit, but what's important is there's a device called the DC Mini. It allows users to enter the dreams of others, interact with the dreamer within their dreams, and record the whole thing for later. Our heroes, the inventors of the DC Mini, want to use this device for good. The villains want to use it for mind control. They fight over it, and there's a bunch of anime bullshit that happens.
Okay. Wait,
Whew.
you have another minute and a half, or are you good?
I can stop there. I have another 400 words, but we'll just save it.
Oh no, we'll go to it. But I'm just curious on that. Are there villains in this movie? Like,
Yes.
There's terrorists.
There's
or
there's the CEO and and his henchmen.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
are they baddies from the start of the movie, like before the movie begins, or do they get sucked into the dream like everybody else who's talking?
Oh, good question. No, the movie essentially is triggered when they trigger their plot to take over
The world.
I don't think it starts taking over the world, but quickly they see how powerful they could be. I think it starts with them just wanting to take control of the DC Mini for themselves. And then when they realize they can impact reality with it, then that's when the chairman's plan grows to a cosmic level of
I don't think they.
villainy.
I think they like the term, and they prefer like the medical term, like paraplegic. I had a good buddy in grad school. We did in the movies first. It was pretty cool.
Did you make a movie with him? And lose touch with him afterwards?
Does it haunt you? Are you haunted?
I kept falling through the hallway. Okay, Ryan, you got what, 40 more words? 400 words? I'm gonna try
only 2 more paragraphs to be true.
Okay. Single spaced?
Yes, but big type.
Okay.
But what's important isn't what happens in this movie. It's that the film explores all different ways that people dream and what they dream about and why we share dreams through creativity and communication through art. Some wish to connect in a way that they can't in the real world. Some wish to control dreams in a way they can't in the real world. Some replay their worst moments and most horrifying realization. Writer-director Satoshi Kon, who died suddenly a few years after the film's release, used anime to explore the relationship between dreams and reality to genuinely try to make the world a better place. Rip to a king.
Copyright ChatGPT 2024. All rights reserved.
I will credit the strain Pineapple Express.
Oh, okay. Hey, so I did some supplemental viewing last night after watching this movie. I watched 1984's Dreamscape.
1984?
Oh, yes.
Starring Dennis Quaid,
I love that one.
Max von Sydow,
Warriors!
David Patrick Kelly, and Kate Capshaw, which was 2 films with Kate Capshaw in 1984 where a character pulls out another character's heart, which I thought was weird. What are the odds?
Did Spielberg produce that one too?
No, but this was about weaponizing a technology as well, and the whole plot is Christopher Plummer wanting to kill the president in his sleep.
Yeah,
I watched a 1984 with Kate Capshaw movie last night, which is called Best Defense, because I'm on a Eddie Murphy kick, and it made me want to rip my heart out.
Is that good, huh?
How many movies did she make in 1984? Jesus,
she was a real heartthrob.
4,
and then
she also made Windy City.
Spielberg captured her and made her uterus pump out that many kids before she was allowed to act again.
I don't know if that was in the marriage contract or not.
You can cut that if you want.
I don't think we're big on the word uterus on this podcast.
Kidnapping we're fine with, but don't use the U word. I'm sorry, Ken. We derailed you. You watched Dreamscape.
Yes.
So what interests me about Dreamscape and Paprika compared to Inception, which I think goes to a lot of what I love about Christopher Nolan, is Paprika and Dreamscape, to a great extent, are about the technology, an early stage of the technology, and someone using it for ill. In Nolan's Inception, the technology is almost beside the point.
Yeah,
it's really vague how it works. It's already existed in the world, and these people are using it for heist type crimes. So it bypasses most movies that take a technology like that are pretty much like Paprika, where it turns out it's an old guy wanting to use a technology to live forever. Seen it before.
Yeah.
And, Dreamscape's about Christopher Plummer wanting to kill Eddie Albert in his sleep with David Patrick Kelly.
Yes. If I, in a perfect world, basically maybe the greatest movie ever made is Christopher Nolan doing all of the real world bits, and then Satoshi Kon directing the dream world bits. And if they somehow fuse those two things together, then that would be my favorite movie about dreams. But I think both movies are weak where the other one is stronger.
Huh.
Whoa.
I don't think they're particularly related in any other way, really.
I don't. I find Paprika's dream world to be pretty cliched with all the weird stuff and the morphing. It's really cool the way it's done, and this is a clear step up from Perfect Blue as far as budget goes, because it's a great looking movie. All the dream stuff. I mean, you expect dwarves to show up. There's talking dolls. There's nothing I haven't seen before. There's repetitive dreams that have clues. It really is things that I've seen a lot in film dreams.
Really?
Well, that's one of the things is so many of these are shots from other films that he's like recreating. But I do get your point. It is cliche in a way. I also think it's more how dreams work, though. I don't think Inception, once you get in the dream world, I think it's cool, but I don't think it has any bearing on what really goes on when one is dreaming, you know?
Yeah.
I agree. He creates his own little world there.
Yeah.
And I feel Paprika is kind of like an extension of a world we've seen before.
Yeah.
Speaking of dreams, the one movie that has the feel of a dream that we talked about last season is Mother. And I think it, as far as capturing what it's like to be in a dream, far more successful than either Paprika or Inception.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like Thomas was saying, it's that kind of constant thing of trying to go do something and then being weirdly interrupted by something that's sometimes random.
Yeah.
And neither of these films approach that level of dreamdom.
Yeah, that's a great point.
True, but do you think that's the project of either of them? Are you just grading them on something that, like, neither of them are fantastic musicals when compared to, like, Newsies?
All three of these movies are about dreams, though, so it's fair to compare how they illustrate dreams within their movie.
I do think I think that's a great question, Thomas. I think Nolan kind of, not that he has many detractors, because obviously Inception's one of his most successful films, but the people who don't like it do say, like, he said it was going to be a dream movie. It's just people shooting at each other and dream, you know. And then Paprika, I do think the best and worst thing about it is that Kon can't decide whether he wants to just pay homage to cinema or whether he wants to make something about dreams. And I think he goes back and forth, and it's not entirely successful because he doesn't pick a lane, but I think he succeeds in both a little bit. Whereas Mother, to your point, Ken, I think it succeeds in that, if nothing else.
But Mother isn't supposed to be a dream necessarily.
Right. The irony.
But it follows a dream logic.
100%.
There's too much representational stuff in Paprika. Where there are a lot of clues, and I feel that's a really cinematic way of portraying dreams, where there are clues and that you have to go into the same dream again in order to solve those clues, and that's not really the way dreams work other than movies.
Right.
Yeah, I think I like Paprika more than what you're expressing, Ken, and I think what I enjoy about, I guess a few of the things I enjoy about it, that Kon takes the time to do things like visually represent the merging of dreams and reality while they're having the exposition, by having them in a car that has the draining of water on the windshield form a larger stream. And it's just that little touch in an anime film, which wouldn't be in the script, which is in his head, that he had a 614-page storyboard that took him over a year and a half to make, and trying to adapt this film. So I enjoy all of his touches in that. We also saw him in Perfect Blue. Some really disturbing things, like when the assistant to the chairman puts his hand inside of Paprika and rips out the engineer.
All of
There's
the
some really disturbing
stuff at the end. Yeah,
the two heads, coming out the same.
Two heads were not creepy.
You didn't think that was creepy?
No, they were funny.
It was so
they were
upsetting.
ridiculous.
It was both to me, and it was upsetting and hilarious in part because it was so upsetting.
It reminded me of that Rocky Blyer football player, and what was the white guy?
Rocky
it was
II.
No, it was he was a football player, and Ray Milland, I think, and they both had their head on the same body, and Milland was like a racist, and the other guy was a black guy.
Which football team was this?
No, it's
the man with two heads, right?
What is that? What it was? I can't. Yeah. It's trash like Best Defense.
It's total garbage. Don't get me wrong, it's totally garbage.
So I enjoy a lot of that. I think where I got lost was trying to understand how the police officer and the shortest gray-haired doctor, what the relationship was and how that related to film. And it seems really odd when he's talking about crossing the line all of a sudden in the dream.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah,
And then he becomes like a wannabe director.
Yeah, basically.
and there's a young kid in it somehow inside of him, like which I guess is him wanting to be a director.
Yeah.
All right.
Why aren't we talking about the elephant in the room? Almost literally, one of the most offensive characters.
Oh yes, I
since the last Con movie we watched for the same reason.
Yes, I wanted to unpack this and do a little bit of a mea culpa and make an offer to you all. You're talking about the inventor of the DC Mini, who is so giant that he like breaks the real world even before the dreams start interrupting the real world, because it's like no man could possibly be this fat.
He's introduced being stuck in an elevator door.
Or inside of an elevator, I thought.
Yeah. In the entire elevator. He can't.
Yeah. He can't get out.
Yes.
Well, we've all seen that Coppola movie, right? Where everything's smaller in Japan. And
well, yes, I do. Yeah.
So I want to hear Ryan defend this.
Yeah.
And then talk a little bit maybe about the whale from last season.
Yes, I think this is exactly what I meant. What I was waiting to get to, Ken.
Okay.
So when I watched this movie with my wife and a friend a couple years ago, and we both really bumped. He loves this movie, the guy who we watched it with, and Jenny and I really both bumped on that character, Takita, the inventor of the DC Mini, who's just a giant, who's a whale, so to speak, of a human. And when I was younger, I really liked Kon, and I was sort of surprised that I forgot that both of my favorite of his films featured obese characters who that was so much a part of their who they were. So when we were talking about going back to Paprika, I did a little bit of research into Kon and into these his work with obesity. And in part, this character is meant, as I understand it, as an apology for the character in Perfect Blue. And what Kon expressed was that because Japanese people are so small, and if you know anything about Japan, their culture is built on efficiency. Everything's built to be as compactly as possible. Humans are packed into as tight a spaces as possible. And so he said that obese people in Japan it's worse than racism. Like Japanese people are racist towards Black people, but it's even worse than that. Like there's nothing worse you could be on this earth than fat. So he wanted to make a character that expressed why someone might be obese and how someone else might learn to appreciate and love them in spite of that, which is no better than what Aronofsky was trying to do with The Whale. I don't think it works particularly for American audiences in Paprika. I can see why he wanted to do it in Japan. But he is doing exactly what I said Aronofsky was the fucking worst for doing in The Whale. And I don't entirely hate this movie. So if you like, I will go back and rewatch The Whale in its entirety.
Wait, the whole thing? You can watch a whole movie before you have an opinion about it.
The whole movie. And then, if you want to do a brief, pit stop and check in, so I can eat more crow after having finished that movie, I would be happy to do so.
Okay. There was the moment where they're in the restaurant and they kept delivering him food.
Yes.
I was almost out.
Yeah.
If I wasn't doing it for the podcast, I would have turned it off right there.
Fair.
And I know it sounds like I'm hating on this movie because how it represents dream logic and everything.
No.
I am picking at nits, but I did enjoy it. I mean, it looks great, particularly after watching Perfect Blue. This is a great looking movie.
Well, I'm always freaked out by the idea of, which is the premise. My understanding of the premise of this film, that if you do something a little bit, like a gateway drug, if you do something a little bit, your mind can be changed in a way that allows dreams to interfere.
Uh-huh.
So before they had the DC Mini, they had other technology that they had, and people were going through therapy in their dreams. And if you used it enough, like if you're one of the inventors, you can be using it all the time for the, S&Gs, that people can like hack your brain.
Yeah.
You no longer have a firewall. And then that dream world becomes merged with the real world, what we call the real world, and it's really hard to differentiate between the two. That's what's fun and exciting and terrifying.
Yeah.
Like a dream within a dream for Nolan.
And that's another thing that I think he's trying to get at, and I'm not sure if it entirely works or not, but there's this Borges short story, which is very convoluted, but essentially is about, it was written pre-World War II, and it's about how fascism is an idea that is impossible in the real world, but it is seductive because it makes sense of a nonsensical world, and that it's very dangerous because it is basically contagious, and it can be brought into the real world through mutual effort. And I think that's one of the things like that's going on with the dreams escaping into reality is I think Con's trying to say that as an artist, you can use that for good, but it's also like a weapon, and people's ideas and imagination can very much create a black toxic goop that could eat the whole universe if we let it,
Okay.
I also think all of your everything you said, Ken, that's why I called out the anime bullshit, because 30% of anything that's anime has 30% of the experience of watching it is putting up with some sort of junk, like a dumb plot that doesn't really make any sense. And you're always, because what lies on the 70% might be so transcendent that you're able to ignore the dumb stuff. And for people who love this movie more than I do, they don't care anything about the DC Mini or the espionage. All they talk about is the dream sequences and these complicated ideas that Con is trying to get at, even though that's like comparatively little of the running time. Most of the time you're chasing people around as they follow this machine.
Am I right in remembering that whenever somebody new gets abducted into the dream world, the merging worlds, they are at the top of the parade?
Yeah.
That's so cool. So it's like the idea itself is seducing you, making you think that you have this prestigious position in a world that doesn't actually exist.
Yeah. And then in the end, you're objectified and you lose control yourself and just become a slave to the dream master,
who has you run and jump through a window for some reason.
That was another scene where the dwarf from Snow White freaks out and jumps out the window. But between that and then the ordering of the food scene, that first act had me so close to just tapping out.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I stuck with it, because I think the second act is great. Second act is the worst part of the movie. And then the third act, once it turns out to be the old CEO guy, I don't know. I kind of lose interest because it's the same old shit. If it was a Marvel movie, it'd be ones and zeros at the end.
That almost killed your wife, though. The scene where the reveal of him with the tentacles instead of the wheelchair made Andy laugh so hard. It was like a minute and a half. She could not stop laughing.
She had to get up and leave the room. She was laughing so hard.
That's amazing. That's the kind of moment that you hope for when you pop in a good anime, is like uncontrollable laughter due to unanticipated tentacle legs.
Yeah, so back to Nolan, though. I mean, do any of us think there's any merit in this long-standing claim?
Zero.
Yeah, none. The thing that I saw online all the time about this is the hallway thing, but even that is not very similar.
Well,
and hallway fight.
It is a hallway.
Jack, we didn't have hallways before 2008.
I don't.
2006.
I don't think you can credit Paprika in any way. If anything, I think the hallway, like after Old Boy, just everybody had to have an awesome fight scene in a hallway.
That is a good point.
That is a great point. Yeah.
I don't think there's any relationship between the source material. I do think, unless you really liked Perfect Blue or Paprika, the only other reason to watch Paranoia Agent is because I think that gets Kon closest to Lynch, and I think both those guys, just the way they tap into the subconscious when they're making their movies, sometimes they come up with ideas and themes that other people then are like riding a similar wave of, but it's all just, I believe in a zeitgeist. I think they're just riding Papa Wheelie on the zeitgeist, but I think Nolan does the same. I think Aronofsky does the same. I don't think any of them are stealing from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting watching it, I guess, a little bit in counterpoise, because it is a movie about dream technology, like Dreamscape. But like Ken was saying, it's a little bit like Nolan has a thing a little bit like Interstellar, where he's not so interested in the chaos of the disruption of the new technology. He'd rather just have that be the status quo.
Yeah.
And then move from there into his playing with action figures or hawkishly talking about being a daddy.
I do think I think those are great jokes, Thomas. I do think that that is something that even goes into the writing and editing for Nolan, where he has just figured out that he can bypass any standard movie cliche that he doesn't want to address, like whether it be explaining the technology of some at the heart of some sci-fi thing, or like watching people walk through doors, like let's just cut, they're just in a room talking to each other all of a sudden. He's just so efficient and great at getting to the nut of whatever the fuck he wants to talk about, which sometimes, to Thomas's point, I think is kind of silly, but
which is weird because his greatest achievement, the Oscar-winning Oppenheimer, is about the creation of a technology. Though when he does it, he goes all in. But yeah, I just think as a storyteller, he's not interested in how the dream machine in Inception was invented.
But he's so interested in all the rules versus Paprika, which it's like, oh, here's a machine. You can go into people's dreams. We didn't put the firewall in or the safety protocol. Things are going crazy. And that's like, that's my 10-second synopsis.
That's
and you don't need rules on top of rules that then you break and then come back to that you have in Inception. It's closer to Dreamscape in that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So this is something, and Jack, if you watch Evangelion, this is something that Evangelion really fucks with a lot. For whatever reason, in anime, they really they think you need to be able to explain everything that's going to happen in the fake world, whatever fake world it is. So they spend a lot of time on exposition, to the point where Evangelion, it's like they are introducing like 10 minutes of new exposition during the climax of the show just to kind of fuck with you. They're always pulling shit like that. Like, hold on now, we need to explain what the 13th angel even is. And he really, but in that show, there's a lot of, they break the fourth wall and do stuff like that a lot. So the fucking with the medium is part of the show. But I don't know why. I think Satoshi Kon would tell you, like, if I could figure out a way to not talk about the DC Mini at all, I would have,
I really like the opening with Paprika jumping into different media and mediums, and being on a t-shirt, going into like a side of a bus through different pieces.
That's pretty
media.
Cool.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because we're probably never going to talk about this film again. What I had a question. I was trying to understand not just the filmmaker cop's role, but he needs to shoot somebody, which would be the assistant, if I remember right. And he has a dream that he has shot somebody or is going to shoot somebody. How does all that work time-wise? Do you have an idea on that, Ryan? Or Ken, if you made it through the movie?
Absolutely none.
Okay. I mean, by that point in the narrative, there is no difference between reality and dreams anymore. So effectively, he shoots the guy in the real world when he shoots the dream figure that he's been chasing in his dream throughout the whole film.
And has that been set up? I mean, has he been Inception in a way?
Yes. It's very, there's so much going on and it's so crazy. It's very difficult to even grasp the plot on the first viewing, but essentially, the whole thing with him is, he had felt guilty his whole life for not pursuing a career in film because he used to make films with his best friend who got into film school and then died of cancer. And instead he became a detective, and this guilt was causing him crippling anxiety that at one time he was chasing a guy down a hallway. That guy shot and killed a rando and then ran out the back door and ran away. And because the real world event was so similar to the staging of the movie he made with this guy when he was a little kid, he couldn't shoot the guy.
Got it.
So when he gets over that anxiety, he becomes, for lack of a better term, a dream warrior, second only in power to Paprika. And that's how he's able to save the day at the end of the film. And Paprika lets him save the day because that is the ultimate end of his therapeutic process, is being able to be the hero in his own story.
Oh,
wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
So with that, I think I finally have a synopsis for this film.
Oh my God.
Okay, so the film opens. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank
It
you.
was only on this, my fifth viewing, that I fully understood that plot line. This was the first time I understood that plot line. So it's definitely not for lack of trying on your all's parts, or it's just that convoluted.
Gotcha.
wow. Yeah, I didn't get any of that.
Yeah.
Are we done talking about Paprika?
Yeah.
Can we take a little break?
Yeah.
We can just keep recording. Nobody touch anything. Right, Ryan? I'm
Yes,
looking
I
at you.
won't.
Hey, buddy. What's up? Fix your ears, man. You look fucking weird. Fix your
Hey,
ears.
fuck you. That's how I was born. How does Dreamscape hold up for you? I watched it maybe 4 years ago, and
It's weird because it's all practical effects. They do a little bit of the Joe Dante set design where kind of the doorways are at weird angles.
they have
It
stop
holds up
motion.
pretty well.
Okay, so
Other
is that
than
practical?
the stop motion. The stop motion is bad.
Best defense, would not recommend it. Very strange.
So is that the movie? Who's
Dudley
in that?
Moore. It's a Dudley Moore movie that they then reshot and intercut in scenes of Eddie Murphy driving a tank.
What?
That is from 2 years beyond. Like, so the movie opens with Eddie Murphy. It's 1984. He's in Kuwait and is having sex.
Dudley Moore?
They that'd be amazing. During the call to prayer, which is intercut with Dudley Moore trying to get it on with his wife, who doesn't want to have sex with him, who's Kate Capshaw, and then eventually they go to and then the weird thing is that Eddie Murphy's intro title card is Kuwait 1984, and then it goes to like 2 years in the past for Dudley Moore's character. They never meet on screen. Dudley Moore, the movie was so bad that they then hired Eddie Murphy to come in and have it just intercut these scenes to have some type of box office appeal.
And that's Inception, you said?
Yes. Inception with Eddie Murphy and Dudley Moore.
And Kate Capshaw.
Ladies and gentlemen, famed cinematic icon, director Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, hello. I'm here down at my job in hell doing blocking, production design, and torture design for new residents. It's a fine job, and it's gotten me all caught up on Disney Plus shows, which is an exclusive down here. Lately, I've noticed a new torture, and I asked my boss, what's this new torture? And my boss said, I give people their phones, but all they can do is scroll through Letterboxd and read pithy reviews. Letterboxd, I said. So I looked up some of my films. Non-fat soy Chung King Espresso, a patron of this letterbox, with a Bruno Gans avatar, gave my masterpiece Barry Lyndon 1 star, writing, Nerd Magazine had it right. Bori Lamden, 797 likes. Idiots. Here's another by Fiend for Non-Alcoholic Mojitos with some anime fucking avatar. I don't know what it is. Also a patron. And first of all, I have nothing against cartoons. Miyazaki was a good friend of mine. But you know why I never made one? I'm a fucking adult. That's why. He wrote, I hope Kubrick is in hell for what he done to my girl, Shelley D. This was my masterpiece, The Shining. 3,091 likes. First of all, that rumor is shit. It's been debunked a million times. And you know what? I got a rumor for you. You want to hear a rumor? Here's one. Fiend for Non-Alcoholic Mojitos has a sex doll modeled after Uncle Remus in Song of the South. There's a rumor. Do you know why no one cares? Because no one knows who the fuck you are. I'm the greatest director of all time. Comes with the territory. All film criticism is subjective, of course, but one objective truth, I'm Stanley fucking Kubrick, and your basement bedroom is decorated with AI-created porn of you and the guys from Supernatural. Fuck off. That's when my boss and I thought there had to be a better way than Letterboxd. So we founded PanScan, an app with 3,700 cinema-literate questions designed to keep out the dummies. That's right. We got gatekeepers. No democracy here. No patrons that get you extra likes. Fuck that shit. PanScan is one of the finest new apps you will find that you can put on your phone or your PC. It's at all app stores now. Oh, you may be wondering, Stanley Kubrick? In hell? But he's too nice of a guy to be in hell. Well, it's true. I did go to heaven. At the pearly gates, St. Peter's like, oh, Stanley Kubrick, the greatest director of all time. We're so happy to see you. We can't wait. And I was like, hang on there, St. Peter. You already got a guy here who could do sunsets, who could do pretty shit, who can make stuff look good, who can make stuff actually good. I want to go somewhere where I'm needed. And he's like, oh, Stanley Kubrick, we love you so much. What can we get in return for trading you down to hell? And I said, hey, you know what? When Schumacher dies, send him up here. I don't want him anywhere near my shit down there. So that's why I'm here for PanScan. It's the greatest movie review app ever. If you get on PanScan after passing all the tests, great job. I won't see you after you die. You're going to go to the good place. And you know what? Letterbox people, after you die, we're going to have some words. Thank you.
That was Stanley Kubrick for PanScan. Find it at the App Store today.
So, wait.
Yeah, I have several questions.
I have no notes and no questions. I just I just want to make sure that I heard Stanley Kubrick right. Did he have a phrase, titiots? Combining titties and idiots together? Or is that just the thick accent that he has?
It's the thick accent.
That's just Brooklyn, Thomas, you know.
Okay.
Was that what he really sounded like?
Yeah.
Like Joe Pesci? Sure.
I mean, it is. I mean, I think people did say it was odd to see him because he looks like he's in Britain, right? Looking kind of British. And then he had this New York accent.
Yeah, he was very nebbish and grumpy.
But is the reason that Joel Schumacher is in heaven. So I guess we can have that.
Yeah.
I just assume that Schumacher's really good at ham jobs by this point, and God needed him there for that.
Oh my gosh. 10,001. So it's our Nolan finale. We're gonna do our countdown, right? 12-1.
Yes, sir.
Those aren't the odds. Those are the numbers that we're going to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because Jack has only been on 2 episodes this season. I'm very curious where his 12 lie.
Yeah, good point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're gonna find out. I watched the following last night, so I've seen all 12.
Okay, very good.
Finally,
as have we all.
All right.
Do you want to start youngest to oldest, Or do you want oldest to youngest?
Wait, who's oldest? Probably you, right?
I am oldest, yeah.
Okay. I mean, either way, we're getting a coral. We're part of a coral sandwich.
Congrats.
Let's start with Jack then. Jack, what was your number 12?
My number 12 was objectively the only choice, Insomnia.
Wow.
Is not terrible, but it's not very good.
Wow. I think going 12-1 odds, Ryan and I are going to be surprisingly aligned in this.
Okay.
No
Ooh.
way.
Thomas, are you next? Are
Yeah,
you
I'd
older
be the
than
next
Ryan?
youngest.
Okay.
Jack and
Okay.
I are Zoomers. Right, Jack? You're not any older than that, are you?
No, he's a Zoom.
No, I don't
He's
know.
zooming
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, we're the same. We're
Okay.
within a few years of each other. My number 12 was Dunkirk.
Whoa.
What?
Ryan?
My number 12 was the motion picture Oppenheimer. There's a good version of Oppenheimer called Twin Peaks: The Return, Season 3, Episode 8. Highly
True.
recommended.
That's maybe the greatest episode of any TV show ever. It's a hard bar to reach.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. First of all, I think all 12, I don't think any of his movies are bad, which is really remarkable, having made 12 movies. But my number 12 is Insomnia as well.
Interesting.
It's just it's the most mid of all his movies. It's the least ambitious, and I appreciate where it led to his, becoming the greatest director in the world, but it's a meh.
It's no Twin Peaks: The Return, Episode 8.
It's true. It's true. I do want to because I gave everybody knows how I feel about Oppenheimer. It is a piece of art, and everything that I hate about it is by an intentional artist, and so it's not like I dislike it, but it's not junk, by any
And I'd say
Yeah.
the same thing about Dunkirk. Like I'm glad I didn't pay money for it. I don't ever need to see or think about it again. But it's not. I mean, it's a passable film. Like it's unlike a lot of seasons prior. It's hard to find a number 12 that it's I guess easy enough to rank, but none of them what I think are garbage. Unlike maybe last season or when we talk about X-Men Apocalypse next season.
Oh my God. Number 11,
the
Jack?
greatest film in singer's career. Go on.
Let's see. I actually don't.
You go
Number 11. I have Oppenheimer. I would say that's the most mid of all of his movies. I appreciate everything about it, and it looks great, and it's ambitious and whatever, but it's just kind of falls flat.
Wait, you're saying it's more mid than Insomnia? But
Insomnia is bad. Oppenheimer's mid.
Got it. Okay. I'm not agreeing. I'm just saying I understand the words that you're using.
Yes, glad we could straighten that out.
Yeah. Number 11, no controversy here. Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, you! No, that was an awful Bane. Jesus.
I like that you both did that and followed it up as though it wasn't you.
Ryan, what's your 11?
Following. It's not. It's just it's a student film. It's fine.
Mine is Following as well. Exactly what Ryan said. I love that everything about Nolan and his storytelling is there in the beginning. Some of the acting,
What?
but I don't have any problem with it. I don't think it's bad. I like it.
Wait, did you say there's some acting in the film or some of the acting in the film isn't very good?
Unfortunately, there is some acting in the movie, maybe not enough, and that might be its downfall.
This one is similar to what Thomas said for me about Dunkirk, where I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think I'll have any reason to see it again, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it unless someone would had seen all the other Nolans and was like, "Oh, did you know about this one?"
Yeah. Number 10.
Batman Begins. It's kind of what you said about Following. I see all the groundwork and I appreciate it, but it's just not all there. And some of the acting is not very good.
Okay.
Whomst? Oh, never mind. Catherine Holmes, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thomas?
You weren't. I thought you were talking about Boone for a moment. I was going to reach through the microphone and punch you in the throat. I like him a lot. 10 for me is just one shy of everybody else for the following. I ranked it just a little higher than Dark Knight Rises.
Fair.
10 for me is Dunkirk. A lot of what Thomas said. I think it is a fascinating cinematic exercise. I think he is choosy about what he focuses on with World War I, which is fine because it is kind of an exercise. I can see why somebody would love it, and if they had given it Best Picture, I wouldn't even think it was a bad idea, but it's not really for me. Like Uncut Gems is amazing, but it's not for me.
Wait, which World War did you say Dunkirk took place during?
World War I, right?
No.
Is it a 2?
Wow.
You had a 50-50 shot, man, and you fucked it up.
No,
There were Nazis
you're right,
in 2,
you're right.
there weren't in 1.
Right. No, but I was yes. Never mind.
But you are correct. It was a world war.
Yes, I got that much right.
Yeah. Ken, did we hear your 10th?
Yeah, I got Batman Begins. So all of my top 10s, if they were on, if I was in a hotel and I was watching cable and they came on, I would watch any of the top 10. I think they're all rewatchable. I will probably rewatch every single one of them at some point before I die, unless I die tomorrow. Knock on wood. All right, Jack, number 9.
Number 9, I have Dunkirk, which I don't particularly like or feel any need to rewatch, and especially after seeing like photos and shit of like the real Dunkirk, and then you watch the movie and it's like 5 guys on the beach. It's like, come on, give me. I know his commitment to only using practical effects, but
okay.
Atonement has the same. Also heavily features Dunkirk, and that's only like maybe 20 minutes of that movie, but that is an amazing section of that movie.
I think that section of Atonement, which also isn't very good, but that one scene kind of ruined Dunkirk for me.
Yeah.
Because of how well done it is.
Agreed.
Yeah. Thomas?
Wow. So we've all passed Dunkirk at this point.
Again.
Okay. My number 9 is Interstellar.
Whoa.
Wow.
No.
That's not true. That's impossible.
Okay, my number 9.
Wait. We didn't get.
Oh, Thomas.
Yeah, say something about that, Thomas. Come on now.
Oh no, we didn't get.
We didn't get Ryan's.
Oh, you don't want to?
No, Interstellar.
I don't want to argue with you about Interstellar.
We listened to the episode. It fell flat for me.
Okay.
It seems to want to be a science fiction film that then uses like love is the 5th dimension or whatever our band name was, our funk band name.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's good filmmaking. Like again, all 12 films are pretty good. I would maybe watch Interstellar again if Cable the movie was on and wasn't directed by Sir Chris Nolan. But as far as what I wanted from a film of that length that would be taking place in space, presumably, it wasn't there for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. That all makes sense. Let's see. Next for me would be The Dark Knight. And it's not that it's a bad movie, but I've just seen it too many times. It doesn't really hold any magic left for me. Ledger, I mean, one of the best performances ever, like Widmark in Kiss of Death. But other than Ledger, I just kind of am clock watching now whenever that's on.
So that means Batman Begins and Dark Knight are going to be higher on your list.
Dark Knight Rises, correct.
Dark Knight Rises is going to be higher on your Batman Retires is going to be higher on your list.
Yes. He begins and he retires, and those are more.
Okay. So this is a very subjective list. Basically, there's no reasoning
I don't
whatsoever.
No, I don't do objectivity in this sort of thing. That's a good call out, Thomas.
My number 9 is and don't get too mad, but it's Tenet for me.
Boo.
And I think the main reason, as I am reflecting on all the movies we've watched in the Nolan season, is I don't think Washington, what's her last name, Dubecki, whatever her last name is, I don't think there's enough chemistry for the story to complete. I think it's visually one of if not his most spectacular, but I think the emotional component just feels so cold to me. Yes. Pattinson and Washington are great together.
Exactly. That's the emotional.
I would have loved to see the whole movie about that, but every time Washington is with the tall lady, I'm just like, I'm not buying this.
Yeah.
Never once.
Yeah, agreed.
Number 8?
Number 8. Yeah, I would say the last 4 that I mentioned, I could take them or leave them, but the following 8 I think are all great. I have Following.
Wow.
I was really surprised by it, and going into it knowing that they shot it on 6,000 euro, perhaps.
Pounds.
It was pounds at the time. Wild.
Yeah. Just like that guy in the movie we just watched.
Yes.
God damn it.
The DC Mini.
Yeah, I mean, some of the plot twisty stuff at the end I could take or leave, but the filmmaking itself and the acting I particularly liked.
All right. Thomas?
8 for me is Inception, which would have been higher. Inception would have been higher on my list if it wasn't for Tenet. I think that they kind of exclude each other.
Interesting.
So yeah, Inception. I if it's on, I might watch it, I guess is the best way of saying it.
Ryan?
This is where, to use your dividing line, Ken, everything from here on out, if it were on or if I had a chance to watch it and didn't have anything more pending to do, I would certainly watch it. Batman Begins. I think it's almost perfect until the SUV commercial starts. And I really hope that Nolan one day gives us something purely supernatural, because I think one of the most exciting elements of his filmography that he's never returned to is Scarecrow's powers. And whenever Scarecrow is going wild in that movie, I fucking love it.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that shit. My number 8 is, I'm not going to do the Bane voice, but it's Dark Knight Rises. Which I love. I think it's great. I mean, the top 8, really the top 10, I love all of them. So, number 7.
Thank you.
Stanley Kubrick.
Number 7. My number 7's Inception, which I think is really good, but I haven't seen it in years, and I watched it all the time when I was a little kid, so I feel like I've seen it enough. So,
fair enough.
Good movie.
Also a good movie is Batman Begins, which was my 7.
Okay. Very good. Ryan?
Tenet is my 7.
Okay.
This is the movie where it became clear to me that the type of director that he wants to be and the type of director that I wish he was based on his early work, there's just such a big gap there now where and I don't understand why everything has to end in a proxy war. And Dubecki and Brana, that whole, I could give 2 shits. It's just bad.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's everything else is fucking great. Like the best it could possibly be.
Yeah.
You didn't enjoy the ludicrous amount of sunscreen that she applies to his back?
I do.
Wait,
on this viewing, I have leaned into the campy stuff of their relationship.
Jack, which music video are you referencing by Ludacris?
Roll Out. Who's Your Housekeeper?
Oh, okay. There's a lot of.
I do. Tenet will forever be fascinating to me. I think if it was a big hit, then there would be a lot more discourse about how the good guys are trying to destroy the future, and that seems kind of bad to me. But since it wasn't a big hit, we'll never have those epic hot takes.
Thank God.
Thank you, Warner Brothers. My number 7 is Inception, and I went back and forth on Tenet and Inception. Like Thomas, they seem like 2 sides of the same scarred coin. And I think Inception, it wore me out. I think there's one level too many in the story, and that's not necessarily the dream level, but it's so much pure iconography that he made with that movie that has now it's just in our vocabulary. Like you see something and it's going to remind you of Inception, or you're going to see a clip basically 1 second and it's like, name that tune, and you'll be able to pick the movie. And that's pretty remarkable for any movie.
Yeah. Yeah, remember when that came out, how big of a splash it made? It's crazy.
Yeah, that was
because
It
of
was
the
before my
waves.
time.
uh-huh. Yeah, I saw it a million times as a kid too. So number 6 for you, Jack?
My number 6, formerly my number 1, has moved down a bit. Memento,
Wow.
which is a perfectly written movie. I just like the next 5 a little bit more.
Fair.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thomas?
I think I'm gonna get some heat from the choral corner for this. Insomnia is my number 6.
How?
Okay. Yeah.
Go Thomas.
Yeah.
Boo.
Way to have an opinion.
I still.
Oh, this really is the quarrel corner.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk more about it?
I mean, well, I guess we don't have enough alcohol left in the bottles here, guys, to talk about how it compares to the original film.
Yeah, I kind of killed everybody with that one. Sorry.
I appreciate the Nolan touch to a film that he wasn't directly responsible for writing a large portion of it.
Uh-huh.
I think it's well directed. Did not know, I guess, that Robin Williams was in it the first time that I watched it. And so I didn't have the same anticipation. And it was far enough removed from other things that we had seen and from just the general memory that I was able to appreciate the things that he added that are different from the original script.
Mm-hmm.
I still think the moment where it's the light turns on in the hotel room and it's the brightest thing in the world, and the log chase, and he opens the film with the doctoring of, like, with the crime that we won't know that it's what has actually happened until the end of the film, where Pacino is covering his tracks and falsifying evidence, and the ambiguity of the end and letting it just end there. I think that these are all great things that are unlike his other films, and it's that little bit of difference, I think, that has it raise up in the ranks.
Okay.
Wow.
Well said.
I guess it's like if you eat too much of the same thing, you kind of like lose your palate, and so this is a great midpoint palate cleanser and change, I think, if you're going to prioritize his films.
Yes, I agree.
Good point.
I'm up next, and I will point out that I have not yet played Insomnia, but I am going to say Dark Knight Rises is next. I think it gets away from him, but I think Nolan is actually at his best when in this blockbuster era, when he kind of loses control a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And besides the fact that he can't close the gap between what Bane believes and what Batman believes, and he won't tell us which of those guys he agrees with more. I just think it's campy fun. Great time.
Okay.
True.
Cinema.
All true.
I think his top 6 for me personally are all they're all quite a bit different. My list, and I think they're all masterpieces. I have this one higher than anybody else. I have Dunkirk at number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. And so watching it the second time, what I found really remarkable, and I don't really associate this word with Nolan, but he combines 3 different timelines that are all different lengths. Like if you wrote each timeline down separately, they would all be various lengths as far as a script goes. But he puts them together almost with a vibe. Like he's cutting between them almost to find the vibe between them rather than having that hard logical Inception rules that he has with the dream sequences. And I find that really an amazing break from all of his other films.
Yeah.
And I'm super appreciative of it. And I don't know, that the second time watching it really totally worked for me in a way it didn't in theaters.
I think that's well said. I think it does work really well, Ken, and obviously I'm many years out of film school, but I believe this will be the film of his that is taught in film school, because formally it is so impressive, and the way it's assembled is going to be low key. I think his most influential film, just from a pure filmmaking standpoint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And aside from following, it's his shortest, so it's
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
nice. It is. It does have that Carpenter like perfect movie. Start the clock. Let's go type of feel to it.
All right. Oh,
Yeah.
number 5. We're at the top 5. Jack, what's your number 5? Come on, we can't wait. Hurry up.
My number 5, also formerly my number 1, The Prestige, which is great. That's all.
It's fucking great. Thomas?
Oppenheimer.
Fair. Okay. Yeah. Ryan?
Insomnia. Nolan. I love that it's secretly a cab. And I think I love noir, and it is a very lean, mean, and effective noir. It's at home in the late 40s and in the 50s, and it's one of 2 movies we've discussed today that have strong William Wyler moments. So prepping for the 4x4, yeah.
Oh, all right. I got Memento at number 5.
Woo.
Love Memento. It's great. It's a bit of a bummer, though.
Yeah, a bit of a downer.
Are you
Bit of
reading
a
your
downer.
letterbox? Are you reading your letterbox?
Yeah. Yeah. It said, my letterbox review is, I forgot what a bummer this movie is.
I don't know. That might get you kicked out of PanScan.
I don't think I would. I would pass my own questions.
Well, yeah, it's like you wouldn't want to be at a party that you'd be invited to. Right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I don't want to be a club that would have me as a member.
Yeah.
What do you have at number 4, Jack?
Number 4, also formerly my number 1, The Dark Knight, which I unfortunately didn't get to talk about on here, but I love everything about it, and I've seen it a million times and will continue to watch it every time I get a cold, probably. But yeah, something about it's just yeah, I know everything that happens in it because I've seen it a million times, and there's always still one more scene. And that's the thing that constantly surprises me about it, is there's always one scene or one plot line where I'm like, oh shit, I totally forgot about this entire thing. I don't know how he does it, but
so it's like comfort food for you.
Yeah.
That's a great the way you described being surprised, loving every scene and being surprised that there's another one. That's a great way to describe how I feel about a lot of Tarantino movies. So not trying to drop a hot take, just saying it's a great way to describe loving a film to that degree.
Yeah. Thank
It's
you.
like Valkyrie.
It's like Apocalypse.
Yeah, can we? What's your number? Your number 4, Thomas?
For the same reasons and with the same intro of it wasn't a number 1 at one point and has dropped as Jack, The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just a little too much Two-Face.
Yes, give me the Two-Face movie. Justice for Two-Face. My number 4, and this is where for me the capital G great Nolan movies start. My number 4 is Inception, which what you guys said about it versus Tenet, I think is totally true. I just prefer Inception because the puzzle box shit, everything that happens before and after the dream is amazing. Just probably my favorite of his work is all the setup and payoff for this movie, and it's just in the middle there where I struggle. It's like, for me, it's like Man fans are either Heat people or Miami Vice people, and I feel like Tenet is the Miami Vice in this analogy.
Okay. I got Oppenheimer, and I think a lot of what Ryan said about Dunkirk being taught, a lot of Oppenheimer will at one point. It would be higher, but as we said on the episode, I have issues with the sports movie case, and then looking at the camera and saying, goes by JFK, says he wants to be president. Get a load of this guy, President JFK. Come on. Looks at the camera. I mean, that third act stuff is really what made it make $1 billion, because everybody gets a victory at the end of Oppenheimer. And then I love how Nolan puts that in there for the cheap seats, and then he goes for the most depressing ending ever. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. And I understand why some stuff is in there, but it really reminds me of Schindler's List and Schindler saying, I could have done more. I could have done more. that Spielberg added that wasn't in the book or the script. But hey, it won all the Oscars and made $1 billion. Who am I to say?
And was in black and white. Wait, are we talking about Schindler's List or are we talking about Oppenheimer?
Yes, both. But I love everything else about it. And I think formally the way it cuts between timelines is just so incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, we're in top 3 now? Three?
Whoa.
Top 3?
Top quarter.
What you got for us, Jack?
I got also formerly number 1, has moved down a bit. The Dark Knight Rises, which I talked about at great length of why that movie is.
Wait, it's better than The Dark Knight?
No, of course it isn't, but I like it more on some days.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Thomas, what's your number 3?
It was never my number 1, but it's probably been solidly in my top 4, Tenet.
Yeah.
Right on.
And I think that Miami Vice Heat thing, I think it probably holds true.
Yeah, that was great, Ryan.
Yeah.
What is yours, Ryan? What's your number 3?
Prestige. The Woo! Prestige. Number 3.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of the last movie in the career that I kind of wish Nolan had. And I think it reveals some of his problems with lady characters and some shit like that are, but it's also like the best of everything that he does smushed into one movie. And it works for me as soon as it starts. In my mind, I might think like, oh, that's pretty good. And as soon as it starts, I'm just enthralled until the end.
Yeah. And your hero is in it, right? What's his face?
David Bowie. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Bowie. I think it's his best performance. He was given a chance a couple times to play on one of his idols, and I think this is when he finally nailed that. As
we said on that episode, the best fucking character introduction of any character in the 21st century. Beyond great.
Totally.
Stop me if you heard this one before, but my number 3 was formerly number 1.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's also The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
I love everything about it. It's a crazy movie that doesn't make a lot of sense when you start pulling at threads. But it's just one of those magical movies where that extra, whatever Heath Ledger brought to it as the Joker, just kind of has it ascend above everything else about the movie. There's just something special about it that elevates it from genre into just like cinema, as Martin Scorsese would say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Top 2.
Top 2. Yeah, I had a lot of difficulty with my number 1 and 2.
Uh-huh.
But Interstellar is at number 2, and I do think this is his best film overall by far. I think it's completely, utterly perfect in every single way besides Topher Grace.
I fucking love Topher Grace. God damn it.
Well, no, everything about the love being the fifth dimension and all that stuff that sounds really dumb on paper, just it hits all the right emotional beats for me and tugs at the heartstrings, and it's got the coolest ending ever with Matthew McConaughey going into a space jet.
Yes.
Come on. So
cool. All right. Thomas, what's your number 2?
Oh, man. I just realized that Chaplain Amy's got into all of you. their read of Interstellar. Oh, fuck. To remind everybody, Interstellar for me was number 9. Prestige.
Prestige.
Number 2.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Prestige.
Yeah. Right. Ryan?
My number 2 is, and I should say, since we have been loosely tracking this stuff, my top 4 have all been my number 1 at different points. So my number 2 right now is Memento. It's a fucking perfect movie. Guy Pearce is my favorite actor, and he's the man in this one. And if more people saw it at the time, we wouldn't have wasted Carrie-Anne Moss for decades after The Matrix. She got a bad rap because she played The Matrix woodenness too well, but she's fucking great here.
Doesn't she have a yoga clothing company and lives in
she's married to a billionaire. Northeast? Yeah, she has. There's no problems in Carrie-Anne Moss land.
She's doing all right.
I wish we would have seen more movies.
I 100% agree. She really brought something in Memento and The Matrix that she should have been a bigger deal.
Mm-hmm.
Is it me now? My turn?
Yeah.
I have The Prestige at number 2, which used to be my number 1. I think it is Nolan. It is an absolutely perfect movie. Pure entertainment from start to finish. I think it's his most deviously fun movie as far as imagining the creator making the film and putting it together. It's probably the one movie of his that I would say is legitimately fun just to watch it unfold every single time. And every single time, even if you know all the tricks, The Prestige, yeah, it works like gangbusters every time for me.
Wait,
True.
so if I'm tracking this correctly, the Curls have the same number 1, which is
No.
Oh no? Okay.
No. But we're going to find out what Jack's is right now. Or did we already find out about it at the starting and now we're moving? Yeah.
Yes. Speaking of, Tenet. For sure. Seeing it in IMAX also at OMSI, not to brag, but I saw an IMAX at OMSI. Kind of.
Fellas, talk to me when you've seen it on IMAX.
Yeah, I really do. It's a bummer I missed that one.
Yeah, it was probably the 5th time I watched it, and it just made me look at it in a completely different way. And I have some theories about it. But that's the one where the emotional core of the movie being, what's his face? Robert Pattinson.
Washington?
And yes. John David Washington is just, I don't know, everything about that friendship and that partnership really works. And I think that ending really hits super hard. It's definitely not his best movie. I think, and like I said, I think Interstellar is definitely better, but so something about it just hits all the right beats.
Yeah.
And a bunch of people my age, like my sister and a few people that I'm friends with on Letterboxd that are around my age also love Tenet and think it's his best movie. So
we already said that I did. Oh, not his best, but yeah.
Thomas, what's your number 1?
Memento. And I made my list a while ago and was just like moving things around as I watched the films. Like I gave myself a sense of like I guessed before watching it, all of the films. Some of them I hadn't seen before. And I think Memento stayed number 1. It's well executed. As Ryan was saying, I wish it'd be interesting if we could have had a parallel universe where Batman Begins never got made, and we got a Nolan who was making mid-level or mid-budget movies and what those would look like.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Ryan, what's your number 1?
Before I say that, I just want to say, Jack, the Miami Vice episode would have been a whole lot shorter if I could have explained my love for it the way you just did your love for Tenet. That's all.
Oh, thank you, because I felt like I kind of did a bad job.
No.
It's great.
It's by far not the perfect man movie, but it does have everything I love about him just all in there, nothing but.
Yeah.
My number 1 Nolan is Get In Boys, We're Going Interstellar. It's his most ambitious film. I like that he followed Kubrick in the 2001 mold by reaching at the end for something that was impossible for him to really get, and maybe for anyone to really get, but somebody needed to say it, that just because we cannot measure a love's impact on the world does not mean it is an important force. It doesn't work. It doesn't fucking matter. Number 1.
Why are they outside barking?
I think they're inside barking.
I don't think they liked Interstellar because there weren't enough dogs.
They probably had to eat them.
So
all.
they're like, we like the Dark Knight Rises. Or it's a Dark Knight where he beats up the dogs. Big dogs. They're like,
dogs are hungry.
Wow, that was the worst Bane voice yet.
Oh, that was
Bane.
Dog. That was
the Ukrainian.
Yeah.
Do you want me to shut them up?
Yeah, go shut them up.
All right.
Take them out back.
Wow.
Whoa. That's dedication to the podcast, guys. Right there. It's going to take them out back.
You can definitely recut that, so it sounds like Jack is going to fuck up your co-hosts. Especially after that Tarantino podcast that we just had where they talked about how to get rid of a co-host.
That's right.
Wow.
David Koepp, Quentin Tarantino, and who else was it? The ghost of Tony Scott.
Ken, what's your number one?
Well, let's wait till Jack gets back.
Oh, okay.
He's got blood on his hands. The dogs have stopped barking. We're all good.
Yeah, I killed the neighbors that were walking their dog.
How dare they? Kind of rude if you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the red light blinking outside our house, meaning we're recording.
Oh, I thought that was a speakeasy thing.
My number one is Interstellar, which is probably, if we had started this, if I had made a list before we started, would probably be at number 10, maybe? Because remember the story of me lying to my children about not seeing it. Horrible time. But when we rewatched it, it's the one Nolan I had the strongest emotional reaction to. And like Ryan and Jack were saying, how ambitious the story is and how it reaches for something a little more than just the technical portions of the sci-fi. All of that worked, but it really hit me super hard. A lot like when I watched The Whale. Similar reasons that, I mean, this movie just chokes me up at points.
Yeah.
That I was not expecting, having seen it when it came out twice 2 years ago or 10 years ago. Super impactful. Being a father, having watched it when my kids were little, now my kids are adults. It hit so many chords that I understand why multiple generations will get different things from this movie as they grow older. And I think that is as powerful a movie you can make as anybody could make. Because you could grow with this movie. You could be the kid, and then you could be the guy, and then you could still be the guy because the kids grew up and you didn't.
And then you could be the robot.
And then you could be the robot. Yeah.
Yeah, Thomas, I'm surprised you don't like Interstellar as much, having grown up with it much as I have.
Yeah, I just I'm really into the 90s now. Stuff that happened before I was born, I'm rediscovering it, and so Memento really holds that for me, where I'm like, what's a Polaroid?
Yeah, well said, Ken. That's I feel the same way about it.
Yeah, biggest surprise of the season. That was our top 12.
Did anybody do the homework for a needle drop?
I did not. I forgot all about it. I wish you would have reminded me.
I wasn't informed on this.
That's because you were on the last episode. I was busy exchanging funds with PanScan. And our joint account for that commercial. So,
Well,
so what's the needle drop, Nolan? What's going on here?
So the thing that Ken pitched us on last week was that watching all these films, at no point does Nolan, Sir Chris, play popular music. There's no what we would call a needle drop, where all of a sudden something popular, some popular piece of music comes on, or he edits to it as a montage. So at the end of The Prestige, we don't get the song "I Believe in Magic." That should have been great. Or at the end of Tenet, back in the USSR, right? Or at the end of Inception, "You Spin Me Round Like a Record" by the pop band Dead Alive.
Yeah.
Or in Memento, "My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me" by the Ghetto Boys.
I love these.
Or "Hey Ya" by Outkast, right? Shaking like a Polaroid picture.
I don't even know what that is.
Same. But I thought, just because I like funk, the end of Oppenheimer should have ended with the Gap Band's 1982 classic "You Dropped a Bomb on Me."
Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah,
it's a great song. And could you imagine if that was what you walked out of the theater to?
Oh, man.
That'd be amazing.
Who knows what my feelings about Oppenheimer would be if that was the music at the close.
Yeah,
well,
and then we can have a whole conversation about how the Gap was three brothers, and they lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Gap comes from the three main streets there. how that 1982 album song was on their 6th studio album called The Gap Band 4. Even though it's their 6th album. The first one was called Magician's Holiday. I don't understand. Like they also had 2 albums called The Gap Band.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they started numbering them on the 3rd one,
when they
which would be the. Yeah,
I think Chicago.
What podcast are we doing right now?
Incidentally, the singer for the Gap Band, Charlie Wilson, worked with the artist formerly known as Human Kanye.
Is that what the movie Charlie Wilson's War is about?
Yes, it's about Charlie Wilson trying to figure out whether or not he should keep working with Kanye after all the Nazi stuff.
Well, this seems like, is this a good place for us to put the song in?
Speaking of needle drops,
Yeah.
Ryan, do you want to talk to us a little bit about this Oppenheimer closing credits song that you have for us?
Yeah, so what I have for you today, gents, is the latest creation from Weird AI. And Ken was a tremendous player in this Weird AI collab. He worked with an AI, right, GPT, to write the song lyrics. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think my prompt was write a 1990s hard rock ballad to go at the end of Oppenheimer. And they spit out such brilliant lyrics that I shared it with you all.
Yes. And so then I rewrote and reformatted the lyrics slightly to give it a little bit more of a Tobias take on Oppenheimer. And then I also decided I wanted to turn it into kind of a 1960s sex jam. So
no problem there. All right, I have the turntable started. So what's the song called, Ryan?
It's called Master of the Flame in parentheses Oppenheimer. Or maybe
Master of the Flame in Oppenheimer.
Yes.
By Weird AI.
Yes.
Enjoy.
With apocalyptic stakes, unleash the fury. Come on and let it rain.
Wow, that was great.
Oh, I thought I was gonna hear it, or did we? Is that?
No, the song isn't finished yet.
Oh, okay.
You gotta wait.
Yeah.
I'm out of the loop. I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on.
But it is gonna be good. I promise. It's one
Jack,
of my
did you just think
finest
you had
songs.
a moment?
Hey, what's going on?
Like, I'm not hearing anything. So, for the eagle-eared listener, to use a Jack phrase, we had to stay quiet for the full run of that, and Jack was probably very confused as the rest of us were dancing.
Yes, it was a sex jam, so we were getting down.
I think he this isn't meant to be a hot take if anybody has strong feels, but he is a little bit like Wes Anderson, albeit a lot more successful. But they both have kind of become more and more themselves. The deeper they get into their careers, they're not really looking to widen their lens, but they're getting more and more sophisticated about their subjects. And the hardcore fanboys have stuck with both of them, albeit Nolan has, 100,000 times the number of hardcore fanboys.
Which comes along with a larger number of haters.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Which gets us into stick around for next week. We'll do App Pupil and X-Men Apocalypse.
Bring the apocalypse.
Now, does anybody have any overarching Christopher Nolan takes, Jack? You're the youngest. You kind of
besides Thomas.
You kind of grew up with Christopher Nolan movies, right?
Yeah.
So what is your hot take on him as the predominant blockbuster studio filmmaker?
It's pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He is maybe, besides Denis Villeneuve, the Dune guy, the only that I can think of off the top of my head, like blockbuster auteur that can make a movie like Oppenheimer that's, R-rated and black and white and 3 hours long and still make $1 billion. And make films that are this big and this ambitious, and this weird, and still have a strong market for them, which I really thought at the time Tenet was going to kill that. I'm glad it didn't, because that was a bit of a failure when that released. But yeah, there aren't really too many filmmakers where people my age that aren't into movies will see, new Christopher Nolan movie, and they'll go see it because of that. And yeah, him and Denis, I can't really think of anyone else that's so, it's pretty special.
That's
pretty
working at that
thing.
level. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have a remarkable way of, and I think both of them, particularly Nolan, has always had a way of just casting his movies so well that even when there's dumb shit like in Batman Begins, Michael Caine saying it, you don't even notice it at the time. It's only after future viewings you're like, wow, that dialogue really sucks.
Yeah.
If Michael Caine had delivered the young up and coming senator, name's Kennedy, John F. Kennedy. If he had, imagine Michael Caine saying that, you'd probably go, oh, okay.
You'd get chills.
Yeah.
No, it's like Han Solo.
Right? Yeah, not so much.
Thomas?
I think I've already said my piece, which is I respect, going back through this series, I really respect his earlier films. And I think the Inception, Dark Knight Rises turn for him, the Inception, he felt that he had to make a certain type of blockbuster, or certain type of action movie. He's been locked into that through Dunkirk and maybe even Tenet. So Oppenheimer seems like it might be an interesting departure. And I'm very curious what his next film will be. And I'm back on the Nolan train, whereas I was derailed after Dark Knight retires.
Well said, Thomas. I am super curious to see what he does next.
And I would actually put Dunkirk on the same level, personally, as Oppenheimer. just with him doing something different with the cachet that he has, and pushing himself a little bit formally.
Well, I mean, for me, Tenet and Oppenheimer mark that turn because I think Tenet, he was able to execute what I felt like he kind of wanted to do in Dunkirk and in Inception, which is to have a lean story that's action based where you don't care so much about, you care about the things that he wants you to care about. It's the magician's trick. Like you're focusing where he wants you to focus. And I think for me, he does that really well in Tenet. And it sounds like people bump up against a few things on it when it comes to some of the relationships, but I don't.
No, well said. Okay, I have 2 questions for you. I'm going to go around the horn, and I'm going to say movies that, if this was announced as Christopher Nolan's next movie, would you be excited or disappointed?
Is it the third Ape movie? Is that what he's doing next?
No. This is a
wait. There's already been 3 Ape movies.
So,
and he's doing Cable. We've decided.
So, if Christopher Nolan was announced that he was making the next James Bond movie, would you be excited or disappointed? Jack.
Excited.
Thomas.
Can I be
James Bond?
Trepidatious or something?
Nope. One or the other.
Then I'm not excited.
Okay. Ryan?
Oh yeah, I'm not excited at all.
I'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
What?
Okay. If Christopher Nolan decided to make a musical comedy, would you be excited or filled with the kind of dread that you can't even articulate? Jack?
Excited.
Thomas?
I'd be filled with the kind of excitement that I cannot articulate.
I would be excited the same way I was after I saw the Cats trailer, which was irrationally and very excited.
All right. I'd be watching it through my fingers. I just know that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. If Christopher Nolan was announced that he was going to make a big screen adaptation that takes place in the 60s of The Prisoner, would you be excited or disappointed? Jack?
Wait, can we go back to the musical comedy for a second?
Yeah.
I don't think Christopher Nolan has ever laughed in his life. So I would be. That's the reason I would be excited.
Zero needle drops.
All original music.
Wait, an adaptation of the what?
The Prisoner. You could pass. You don't know what it is.
Jack, you want to be excited on this one. You want to be excited.
Thomas, I know you would be excited. I would be excited. Yeah.
Well, what about the long rumored Christopher Nolan Star Wars movie? Excited or disappointed?
So disappointed.
Same.
Jack?
What if he had like complete creative control over it and Final Cut and everything?
But how do you have that? I guess that's the hard part. Is like, it feels like Star Wars would have to go back into the recesses of the mind for half a decade, and I just don't understand Disney allowing that to happen.
They would not.
Oh, you know what? Also, midichlorians are full of the love dimension.
Yes, and I'm filled with dimensions of love for that movie, The Phantom Menace. Whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, but if you do like this podcast, you can always check out our podcast where we alternate between Sylvester Stallone, Sharon Stone, and Oliver Stone, called Sly and the Family Stones.
You did it. You did it. Wait, was Emma Stone in there? Oh.
Wow.
You want to do it again and add her? I'll just cut it out.
Yeah, actually, I'm just going to do it at the top of the episode.
Okay, and then I'll just stitch it in, as we say in the biz.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing another 4x4 as our next season. I'm doing Robert Aldrich. Jack, you're going to join us with your director.
I am.
Yes.
Did we lose
I was checking my tattoos to try to remember what's going on here. Simon Lang. Yeah, I guess so.
Ryan, you're going to be doing William Wyler.
Woo!
And Thomas, are you still to be determined, or have you picked somebody?
Oh, I didn't realize that I was supposed to come up with something. Yeah, I mean, Jack's going to be on it? Then Lars von Trier.
No, are you serious? Because I'll move to France to get out of this. No, I'll do.
Well, then I'm back to TBD, but it's probably gonna be
Lars von Trier. That sounds fun.
Okay. Yeah, but Nymphomaniac is still 2 movies. You can't make us watch both and have it count as one.
What if you watch both in one sitting?
No, we're gonna definitely do Dancer in the Dark and
Breaking the Waves.
We'll
Breaking the Waves.
Maybe Element of Crime would be good. I think
that's
Well, I'll talk to Jack off Mike.
Whoa. Hey man, it's not that kind of podcast.
Who the hell is Jack off Mike?
I'm up, guys. I'm already in. I'm past the gates. It's me and Schumacher jerking off this bike.
Oh boy. Thanks as always to Weird AI, not only for our theme song, but for the great Oppenheimer song.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Mushroom Cloud, in parentheses, Oppenheimer. Or Master of the Flamers. Yes. And yeah, I just love Master of the Flame, and it's about Oppenheimer. If he'd never invented it, he would have been a dad that just grills burgers on the weekend. We're done. We did it. Yay, Big Daddy time in the rear view, but also in front of us.
Whoa, poignant.
Crazy. Thanks to Sir Christopher Nolan for making the movies for us to talk about.
Thank you for our guests this season, including a New Zealand director whose name we're not supposed to use. Jack, by court order, Chaplain Amy, and Shannon.
Yes.
Yeah, but we could say Jack again.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye. Wait, does someone have something funny to say?
I mean, we could talk about next season.
Didn't we just talk about more hours?
I was going to say, Jock and Brian.
I'm not talking at you. I'm talking to you. Nice, gorgeous. I don't want to hear about you. I want to hear from you. It's 10-4. 10-4, buddies. Destroy. Kill all hippies.
I don't hate it. I just don't know why you strayed from the formula.
You bastards. You don't know it, Bob. I'm an artist. And I must reflect that in my rhyme.
I will go back and rewatch The Whale in its entirety.
Hey, you know what? When Schumacher dies, send him up here. I don't want him anywhere near my shit down there.
And what I do like is anime.